Hello everybody, this is Wolfgang von Latman with chaliceofimmortality.com, and here today on this miraculous, beautiful video, I'm going to hopefully clarify and give you guys a better understanding of my perspective on a truly healthy approach to eating, based on principles and rather than dogmatic specifics. I'm not going to tell you, eat this, not that, not in the way that most people would, but I will make it very, very clear what you should be doing. I highly recommend a medicinal approach to eating. See food as medicine. As long as you see food as medicine, it doesn't matter what form of eating you consume. If you recognize food is either harming you or helping you, food is either building you or tearing you down, food is either healing disease or feeding disease. If you understand this basic principle, then as long as you live, you should be fine. As long as you have an honest perspective on what's actually happening in your body. If you're eating a diet for 6 months and you're having these crazy reactions like your hair is falling out or your skin, you have acne or psoriasis, and you tell yourself, oh, it's just a cleansing process, then you're lying to yourself, and that is a very bad situation to be in. And it's one of the reasons why I'm so against dogma and why I always try to lay out the reality behind veganism and the reality behind paleo and the reality behind all this nonsense. Because people will follow one of these dietary paradigms and then they'll find themselves in a state of disease, which is exactly what we're trying to prevent with our diet in the first place. I was there. It's happened to me. So, at a baseline, remove all junk food, remove fast food, like absolutely do not touch any kind of, packaged, processed, frozen, fast food, yada yada. Essentially, only eat fresh foods, eat whole foods, okay? That means, fresh leafy greens, broccoli, cauliflower, what else? Like apples, bananas, and then depending on your own digestive system, if you can tolerate certain nuts, seeds, grains, beans, etc. And then of course, lean meats, or not just lean meats, but just whatever meats you feel, I guess, comfortable with in general. If you eat meat, you're not going to develop diseases just because you're eating meat, okay? That is a myth, that's a misconception. It is it's people exaggerating scientific literature way out of context. It's people who don't understand science. It's usually dogma. It's usually people who just listen to vegan propaganda and believe it at face value and just regurgitate it without actually examining what the research actually means. But usually the people who die of heart attacks, die of diabetes, and etc., but especially heart attacks and diabetes, they're not dying because of meat. They're dying because they're consuming excessive amounts of dairy, processed sugar, and other harmful, damaging foods. Usually, I've noticed all the people that I know that have gotten diabetes or heart disease, they eat a lot of candy, they drink a lot of sodas, they eat a lot of salt, a lot of sodium, a lot of processed foods that contain sodium, and they salt everything on top of that. And they eat a lot of baked goods, they eat a lot of hydrogenated oils, and a lot of vegetable oil. Big time on the vegetable oil. That is very, across the board. That's a huge commonality between everybody who develops these diseases that I've seen. And I constantly see it. I don't see people who care about their health, who eat a little bit of meat and a lot of plants, or who eat meat in general and a lot of plants but stay away from junk food. I don't see these people developing diseases very rarely you'll see vegans or you'll see paleo people who get a disease or whatever, but the vast majority of them are 85% or more healthier. The reason why is because they care about their health and they eat a large amount of healing foods and a very small amount of damaging foods. It has nothing to do with, oh, I removed grains from my diet, or oh, I removed meat from my diet. Okay? It has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with, I removed hydrogenated oils from my diet, I've removed vegetable oils, I removed processed sugar, I removed, excessive amounts of, dairy, or remove dairy altogether. I feel like that's damaging for most people. That's my opinion. And I just added more healthy foods and removed the damaging foods. That's what I see, no matter what diet you follow. So, don't kill yourself over these nitpicking, dogmatic nonsense. Don't be scared to eat meat because you're like, oh, I'm gonna get a heart attack. Like, no, you're not gonna get a heart attack as long as you stay away from the real causes of the inflammation and damage. So anyway, Whole Foods, the highest quality whole foods you can buy. You don't have to eat organic if you can't afford it, but if you can't afford it, organic's going to be better. You can pick from any whole foods you want, although I recommend staying away from gluten. I recommend if you're going to eat dairy, if you are going to eat dairy, only consume, high quality cheeses, fermented yogurts and stuff of that nature, and raw grass-fed milk. But and then avoid gluten, etc. So I think that's the main principle. Okay, at the very basic line, if all of our society just did that, they would be so much healthier. Most of the excessive sodium intake that people consume comes from processed foods. And when you remove processed foods, you remove 75% of the sodium that you used to eat. And people wonder why they feel weird when they eat healthy. It's because you're not eating enough salt, and also because you're not eating enough, or because you're eating a lot of fiber and foods that you're probably intolerant to. So, seriously, if you just did this, you'll be so much healthier than the average population. Whether you remove meat or not, this is going to make a significant impact. And you'll notice you'll lose weight like nothing, because it's so much harder to eat excessive calories when you eat whole foods. So there's that. Now, a lot of people run into a problem when they switch to a healthy diet, which I ran into myself. So you'll feel a lot better than you did when you ate junk food, but you'll notice you might have bloating, you might have a lot of gas and digestive issues. The reason is because, first of all, there's a lot of fiber and things your body's not used to that's got to take a couple of weeks to adjust to. But also, there's a lot of foods that people are intolerant to, and they don't realize that they have food intolerances until they start to realize that food impacts their health. And when they start to draw that correlation, they can start to see how bad they feel after they eat certain meals. So, things like brown rice, beans of all kinds, uncooked broccoli and spinach, and nuts and seeds, and most complex grains, those might cause digestive problems. Okay, at first you should expect digestive problems, mainly just gas and bloating. But if you have abnormal gas and bloating, for months after you eat these grains and whatnot, then that means that you're probably intolerant to them, and you probably should not eat those, because gas and bloating makes you feel fucked up, and it just doesn't, it's not healthy. And if it really was food that you should be eating, it wouldn't be causing you these problems. I'm telling you that right now. Okay, if you think that excessive amounts of gas and bloating is healthy for you after 2 months or so, you're fooling yourself. Okay, yes, the body takes a couple weeks to adapt and adjust to the fiber intake, But after those 2 weeks are over, if you're still having excessive amounts of gas and bloating and whatnot, yeah, just cut it out. It's only causing you dis-ease. Anyway, so there's that. Okay, food intolerances. So when you switch to this whole foods diet, you should probably try an elimination diet. Figure out what type of foods are causing it. Dairy, a lot of times, might cause yellow tongue. They might cause digestive problems. Different types of dairy to different extents. People with lactose intolerance usually will find that they can eat raw milk because it includes a lactase enzyme. But a lot of people are actually intolerant to the casein protein in milk as well, which would mean all dairy products except for whey protein isolate and hydrolysate should be cut out from the diet. Also, the studies done on animal protein causing cancer in rats was done on casein protein. A large amount of it, but still not on meat. So, so that protein is possibly carcinogenic to some people in some circumstances. Anyway, so elimination diet, remove everything except for leafy vegetables and meat and maybe jasmine rice for about 2 weeks. And then slowly keep a food journal and slowly add one food group in at a time. Remember, beans are one food group. Grains, like rices, are one food group. Fruits are another food group. And potatoes are a tuber. They're not a vegetable. So adding those in. Write down your reactions to each food and give each food about 3 days in between adding another food so you can really figure out if the effects are coming from that food. So that you can narrow down what foods make you feel ill and what foods make you feel good. So you can find what really works for you. So I have videos on food intolerances if you want to check them out, but that's very, very important for finding what diet works for you. So then beyond that, if you have any kind of health condition at all, of course, talk to your doctor and whatnot, yada, yada. My suggestion is take that into consideration. If you have heart disease, find the nutritional protocols that have been proven to reverse heart disease. You would probably benefit from eating a plant-based diet with 0 processed foods and maybe including some fish in there after the first 4 weeks or so. Or if you have diabetes, maybe a low carb paleo diet might be good for you. And see what diets can help you relieve yourself of whatever disease you're having. Because you can change your diet around and tweak various factors and various variables to treat different diseases. That's what medicinal nutrition is all about. That's what nutritional healing is all about. And holistic healing is all about. It's manipulating different variables in your diet to produce a certain result. And you can use herbal remedies to help you along with this as well. Hawthorn berry is great for the heart. You got a lot of different remedies. I got plenty of videos on all of these things. So search for Chalice of Immortality and whatever video you want to look for in the YouTube search engine, and you'll find whatever video you want. But you can change the variables in your nutrition or in your diet. For example, changing the ratios of fat. Maybe you're eating too much polyunsaturated fat. Maybe increase monounsaturated fat, decrease saturated fat intake, and maybe that'll help you get your cholesterol down. Anytime your doctor tells you have some type of condition, you might benefit from, you might want to try modifying your diet to see if you can maybe improve those blood markers, because the science shows, as far as I can see, that diet plays a significant impact on your blood markers and on disease. So if you have any kind of disease or whatever, you can probably reverse that disease with nutrition by changing different things. Removing meat, adding more meat, eating less fruit, eating more fruit, eating less carbs, eating more carbs, eating less fat, eating more fat, eating more protein, eating less protein, etc. Changing the variables, okay? So on top of that, make sure that the base of your diet is fruits and vegetables, or just vegetables, or antioxidants, okay? Make sure the base of your diet is health promoting, okay? The most nutrient dense foods should take up the vast majority of your plate. And, you know, people that want to lose weight, you know, they can modify different factors to produce weight loss, but, you know, calories in versus calories out, even though I used to really be against that, it actually is a good idea to track your calories for weight loss or for strength gain. It's important to make sure you're eating enough food. And just anyone in general should be tracking their food. You should get a food tracker. I recommend Chronometer because it also it measures the amount of micronutrients in your food. So whenever you put you list whatever foods you ate for the day, it also lists your total daily intake of nutrients that you ate as well. So you can make sure that you're avoiding nutrient deficiencies by using Chronometer. So really very useful tool. And so if you follow all of this, you're avoiding the vast majority of damaging foods in our diet. You know, the processed foods, hydrogenated oils, the salt, the processed sugar, etc. You are examining yourself for food intolerances through the elimination diet. And then, you know, using Chronometer, you will be measuring your daily intake of nutrients to make sure you meet the recommended daily intake, which can be different for different people. You might need more nutrients than the recommended daily intake, but getting the recommended daily intake of nutrients through your food is vitally important. So following all of this, you will address every aspect of health, especially the medicinal approach to eating. If you want to feel more energized, change your diet to feel more energized. If you want to lose weight, change your diet to lose weight. If you want to reverse a disease, well, maybe you can reverse that disease with your nutrition. So this is a basic principle behind eating, okay? Notice how I didn't say, oh, do a vegan diet or do a meat diet, or this is, you know, I laid out the main problems that cause disease and then the main things that heal disease. You know, food intolerances are a big source of disease. They are a big source of people's pain. You know, fibromyalgia is oftentimes caused by a wheat intolerance or gluten intolerance. Remove that from your diet through the elimination diet. You notice you don't have any more pain. Well, what do you know? And by the way, this carnivore diet that's coming out, a lot of the people reporting such great benefits on this diet, maybe it's because they actually removed whatever food allergen was causing the problem. That might be why they report these great benefits, because they're just eating meat. They're removing the food intolerance. But anyway, just something to think about. So I laid it all out for you. I know I'm going to have these trolling ass vegans on my channel coming through and telling me how fucking evil I am because I don't believe that, you know, meat causes death and all this crap. But, you know, what can I say? I mean, at the end of the day, I probably read more of the science than they did. I probably thought about this way more than I know. I probably thought about this way more than they did. It's all I can think about is nutrition and what causes disease. I've done more observation than they probably have. I've talked to more people. I probably know more vegan science than they know. So, you know, they're going to come on here and they're going to be fucking stupid. But you can't logic with the logicless. So leave your questions and comments down below, and I'll talk to you soon.